Country road, California, success with Vault 76. Head to New Vegas, enjoy the ride, be good or an overlord. Welcome. Today we're heading down to New Vegas to make a new section of the Proving Grounds. So we have a gambling section, all for those eagle travelers that want to use the gold in other ways. Today we're checking out Fallout New Vegas. A pretty old game at this point. It's probably kind of hard for people to really think of it as that. It's still tough for me at times with some games back then, but New Vegas was a PS3 360 gen game, also on PC of course, and it is considered by many the best Fallout game, or second best Fallout game, but generally well received, unlike 76. Now, for those who don't know my history of Fallout, I have played very little of Fallout 1. There was an original copy that I could barely get functioning, so I never beat that. I have played and beaten 3 and all its DLCs, and I played OG 76. Yeah. May God have mercy on all souls who did that. So, going from what most people consider the most horrible fucking Bethesda game at this point to what is considered one of the high standards was going to be a very interesting experience for me within the Bethesda line of Fallout games. And I do have to say, I enjoyed the story and characters, but I feel like it has a slew of many problems of its own right that one has to debate whether it's worth slogging through that pain. So, first thing I do want to note, I played through the PS3 version, which I'm sure those who are familiar with the game will probably shriek in terror now, because I have religiously had people tell me is the worst version to be playing, and I don't know, going over the bugs between the PS3 and 360, they both have very different and horrible problems. I mean, the 360 version has save malfunctioning issues, deletions, and save corruption issues, which, as far as I can tell, don't exist for the PS3. Not to say they never happened, because that, in theory, can happen to any game, depending on power outages and things like that, but when you look up save corruption for New Vegas, every freaking topic I found was literally the 360 version. It only lists on the bug wiki page for it on the 360. There are many bugs that are completely unique to the PS3, to the 360, and to the PC. So it's all a strange wonderland of bugginess when it comes to that. So you really have to pick what you want to be able to tolerate with. Of course, these days you're likely better off with PC, but that's besides the point. I just wanted it to be clear, I'm playing the PS3 version, so let's get over this. So, Bethesda Fallouts, if you're not familiar with them, are first person, though there is a third person option that you can adjust a little bit of how close or far away over the shore it is, but primarily a first person RPG in the apocalyptic future where nukes went off and America is a freaking wasteland, and each entry takes place in completely different years, sometimes hundreds of years from each other, so they're usually not always relatively near each other depending on which entry you're looking at. Now, unlike many of the other entries, New Vegas you play as a courier. The courier is a interesting character because every other main character has always been a vault dweller coming from a vault in the area, but you're a courier, a mailman, and you're sent on a mission to deliver something to New Vegas. So you head to New Vegas, but sadly you get pulled aside by a lovely little gang who rob you, shoot you in the skull quite literally, and leave you for dead, buried in a grave. Lucky for you, though, you get witnessed and saved by a robot in the local area named Victor, who undigs you and takes you to the local doctor, who patches you up, and miraculously, you fucking survived your fucking gunshot wound. Which is a thing. There have been people who have survived headshots, as crazy as that might sound for some people. People have survived gunshot wounds before. It is indeed possible. This leaves the carrier in a tricky situation, though. They have been robbed of their goods that they need to deliver, and they don't know where these people went. So, you have to go on gossip and get leads and slowly make a trail, figuring out where these bastards are going. Hence, it could be in the name of the title, maybe. And track down and find out what all these shenanigans about. And this all leads to a pretty epic and crazy storyline. But outside the main storyline, there are many side things, as Bethesda games, not just Fallout, but Bethesda games were known for having many side things to do, such as the Elder Scrolls games are known for. You have a pretty decent sized location and lots of towns, places, dungeons to crawl around and find, scavenge, bump, and help or destroy, depending on how you're building your capital, the wastelands of New Vegas. Now, party-wise, this is obviously, like I said, a first-person shooter, so this is all in real-time combat, so this isn't in a very traditional sense, though there is the VAT system. Now, the VAT system actually was also in Fallout 3, and what it is it is something that's been in all the Fallouts. And what it is simply aiming for body parts, getting a better selection, because you can cripple enemies. Now, I don't remember if this was in 3, but you can also aim for the weapon, and sometimes things like grenades and shit that are mid-air and cause them to explode. I don't know if that was in 3. It's been a long time since I played 3. But you can strategize, cripple, or of course go for those classic headshots and go boom boom and take care of them outright. Now, outside that, it's all in real time. Party-wise, you can have one human companion and one other companion. There are 2 other companions, and there are quite a few human companions. And they all have their own stories and little hababloos in the world that you can explore with them. Some are a little more detailed and elaborate than others, so it's a little dependent to that, but you can bump into all of them. I actually did find all of the companions, though. One of them, I think, would have had a pretty decent chance of missing, honestly. But overall, I think you'll likely find at least half of them, likely, if you take a decent time to visit different locations and do some of the side objectives, which you will, well, have to do in a way if you want to level up. And leveling up is, of course, a good thing. Now, I do want to mention a few things about between 3 and that. So, in 3, how to put this? So in 3, there was one thing that was changed that I generally didn't like, and I'm sure there's lots of obvious differences between 3 and New Vegas that one could go about, but one thing that bugged me that I found out about was in Fallout 3, your speech has a chance of succeeding even if it's under what you need. Basically, the closer to the required speech, the odds of succeeding are in your favor, but can still fail if it's under. In New Vegas, they got rid of that. Apparently, that was a decision to disencourage reloading, which kind of on that, but because that was something I tried a few times. I only did it for things that I really didn't want to turn out sour, which was 2 primary things I really didn't want. So I would recommend investing into high speech early, just FYI for those. But so Each of your limbs has a health bar on that. You have a WADS because this is the Fallout. So you have radiation. You have different stats effects. And then you have the special system, which is basically a Fallout staple. Your strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck, which all affect many different factors in the game, between like what you can carry, how much damage you do, how intelligent you can have conversations, bottle, VATS. There's a lot of different things that can be affected by it. It's just all over the place. And then you have your skills, which are in classic Western tradition, affect a lot of your stuff as well, like your efficiency and stealth, guns, speech, trading, and that. So your skills, you get skill points when you level up and you invest your skills. Your special is only made when your character is made. Other than that, there's generally no way to affect your special outside of a few special situations. But otherwise, what you set your special at the beginning of the game for your character sheet is permanent. So your skill trees are how you further change your character. On top of that, every 2 levels you get a perk, or you can pick a perk. You can also choose to not pick one, but that would be foolish and only for insane people, because perks can do many things. Now, there are a few perks that are broken. Some don't affect, some either don't fully do what they're supposed to, and some aren't functioning at all. Like, as far as I'm aware of, the reflection perk, someone told me, is actually broken. So, and that's not really surprising, to be honest, if you know anything about Bethesda. So, I wouldn't be shocked about that. But for the functioning perks, or the perks I'm aware of that actually did do things, there are many ways to customize your character additionally with your perks. So, a very important choice every 2 levels on top of that. And of course, being a Western RPG, you have factions and that you can get all buddy with. Now, for games or a survival situation, and you basically have hordewitis in this, you're going to be gathering tons of fun weapons. Some are more realistic, and some are, let's say, out there. After all, there is a bit of twist of sci-fi in this, so some more realistic and some more jokey-ish than others. And of course, you can equip gear as well to help bolster your defenses. And you can do this in different ways. You can just go super heavy and bolster your defenses to resist damage. But on top of that, though, you can go with special perks that gear have too. Some offer critical, dodge, luck, sneaking, and such. So, just simply going with armor isn't necessarily the only choice. Plus, you know, there's things that can increase speech and trade and that, so you can further get benefits from different gear items. So depending on whether you're role-playing, just going with a killing machine, or you want to try and take advantage of some effects, you can do some mix-and-match things with stuff, though. And of course, being the post-apocalyptic, you're going to be holding lots of food and shit, too. Medical supplies, food, and water. And interesting to note, New Vegas introduced a survival mode, where you, on top of obviously the normal gameplay mechanics, you also have to drink and eat at a regular pace too, like a real person. I did not play this mode. Hardcore mode was recommended for veterans of the series, so I did not take part in it, but it is an option if it's something that interests you for additional challenges. Then, of course, you have your key items and other crap on top of that, along with your ammo and stuff. Also, no, ammo has no weight in normal. In hardcore mode, it does, and I don't even want to fucking imagine what that's like, because, boy, weight. Weight is such a problem It's worst problem in fucking 76, but oh boy, is it still a problem in New Vegas if you want a lot of stuff. It's thank goodness you can get several hideouts to stuff shit in, because boy, are you going to need them, because you're going to find lots of fun goodies, especially if you do a lot of side stuff and all 4 DLCs, which they're all 4 DLCs for the game. You have the Old World Blues, Dead Money, let's see, the Lonesome Road, and then, what was the other one called? Wait.
Here, these are yours.
What was the other one?
You had on you when you was brought in. I hope you don't mind, but I gave the note a look. I thought it might help me find a next of kin. But it was
Dead Money,
a platinum chip.
Honest Hearts, that's what it was.
Well, if you're heading
Honest
back out there,
Hearts.
you ought to have this.
Now, I'm going to talk about those 4 DLCs in their own video, because if I talk about them doing this, it's just going to make the video really long. I don't like making them really long. I know I have certainly made them, like Saga Frontier recently, because there was 8 fucking characters, so there's a lot of different, and plus a lot of differences between how their gameplay works from character to character, so... But I don't generally like doing that, but since the DLCs are additional money, I figured I'll make those their own video. So we'll talk about those in a separate video. But just be aware, they're all 4 DLCs. There is an Ultimate Edition, which is basically what you should buy if you go for this thing. The tricky thing, this is probably going to be one of the more difficult things for me to really do a review for, because... While there were situations with, like, say, with, like, our current generation where the Switch version of a lot of games is usually the inferior version to where it's at times just, you know, low frame rate to where it's other times where it's almost virtually unplayable until it gets a bazillion patches, if you're lucky. But generally, you don't usually have such a drastic difference between every version, usually, most of the time. This is a situation where all 3 versions have such drastically different fucking issues of performance, functionality, and with the console versions, the big thing that separates the 2 console versions is the memory leak versus the save corruption. Memory leak being PS3, and save corruption being the 360/Xbox One version. As far as I can tell, the save corruption thing is still a thing, even in backwards playability mode for the Xbox One. So, as far as I know, hasn't been fixed, but I'll be fair that I couldn't really find a lot of information on the backwards playability version of Fallout New Vegas on the Xbox One. And then PC has all kinds of fucking problems too, and then of course it being an older game, you gotta also switch in, likely trying to get the one on newer computers, or even maybe even older computers, depending on how old or what your computer is. You know, and I gotta doubt some people might have some old ones. You know, I had a Windows 7 for quite a while, you know. Ugh, Windows 10. Ugh. But you have to choose a version and choose what you mainly want to be what you play. Honestly, while I have not played the PC version, I probably would have to recommend it, because you can bring up the console command to fix most problems if you happen to have a bug happen. Plus, saving is a lot more easier, since having too many saves is also a problem on both console versions. They can lead to more problems. So you can obviously have more saves as well, as long as it works on your PC. And of course, you have mods and add-on things that can help further fix performance issues. It can be tweaked more. So that is the version I'm likely going to recommend you get. But if you have any interest in the other 2 versions, which honestly the only reason I could recommend them is only if you don't have a PC that can run the game, or you really want the trophies or achievements. outside that, there should be no reason to really play the console version. There has not been a new version or anything of this game since its original releases, outside of getting the Ultimate Edition with all the DLC. Outside of that, there has not been any updated, remake, remaster, or anything, which is a weird shame because the story is really good in my opinion. But now, as I said, I played the PS3 version, so let me generally talk about the downsides of the PS3 version. So, the PS3 version has a memory leak problem. Essentially, the more the game is running, loading, and keep track of everything that's going on in the game, the more it becomes convoluted with information and starts slugging down the game. This affects the frame rate and the smoothness of what's going on with the game. And in general, it basically gets worse the longer you play, because your save file is getting bigger and there's more shit being kept track, because it remembers where shit is, where you left ammo. Sometimes it literally even will keep bodies where they are forever. Most of them despawn, but there's some that just, as far as I can tell, just fucking stay there forever. So there's stuff being retained throughout your playthrough, and this is probably one of the first Western RPGs I've ever spent so much fucking time. I went over 100 hours on this game. I couldn't even believe it myself, actually. I was actually shocked when I saw my playtime after finishing this game. I was actually shocked, because probably the only other Western RPG I ever spent so much time like that possibly in was probably the Diablo games, honestly, to be quite honest. But it's a problem that increasingly becomes worse and worse as the game progresses. And to fix this, you basically have to close, not quit out of your current game, but close the entire game and go back to the PSN or your PlayStation 3 menu and have the entire game relaunch. This will clear your memory. Though you can also do a catch clear thing, which involves hitting some buttons on your controller on startup or something. I haven't done it in a long time. I think I ever done it one time for some other game or something. I did not have to do it for New Vegas, but some people have recommended it when doing some side research about some of the bigger problems between each version. So you could also look into that. But generally, shutting down the whole game and relaunching the whole game seems to clear it up. But over time, usually in an hour or two, it would start clogging up again. Though it varies on areas. The areas you go in and out seem to greatly affect it. Because, like, the DLCs, for the most part, did actually pretty well when I did them way later in the game. But some of the, like, areas in New Vegas' OG game, like, there's this Wado Town area. Spend like 40 minutes there. It starts fucking chugging like hell. Like, I don't get how this game processes data, but it is just a fucking mess. And admittedly, they admitted it was a fucking nightmare for them to get this running on PS3. They clearly did not know how to use its architect. Now, admittedly, many game devs have criticized Sony's PS3 as being overly convoluted to fucking get a game on. And to be fair, that was Sony's fault, because their original strategy was basically have the dev make a game on our console, waste all their money making it on there, so they can't make it on our competition. This'll be our winning strategy. Hee. That bit him in the ass now, didn't it? It took quite a while for devs to get used to making shit for the PS3. But of course, we did get some wonderful PS3 stuff, and it did help PS3 in the long run having much better lifespan-wise. Because, oh lord, if you didn't play a lot of the new 360 games that came out in its in-life, oh, pray to thee. Those who had that suffered through installed discs and shit. Oh my goodness. Fuck. Garbage. But generally, that is your biggest problem. There were other weird issues, like VATs messing up, like animations repeating, weird physics, of course. It's a Bethesda game, of course, there's weird physics. You do have a lot of the normal bugs you would probably expect if you used to Bethesda-style games. But it is a very mixed bag, honestly, when it comes to trying to recommend a value for this game. Because it's $19.99 for Steam and GOG for the Ultimate Edition. Well, on Steam, though, you can get the DLCs separate as well. But on GOG, there's just the Ultimate Edition that comes with all the DLC in the base game for $19.99. If you're looking for the console versions, which are only available physically, as far as I'm aware of, they are very cheap. They're usually like $8-10 for a used, quibbed. Now, if you want like sealed or something for collectability, then, you know, that's a completely different thing. Especially if you're looking at expensive limited edition things. Like, I think I remember somebody saying like the limited edition for New Vegas came with a canvas bag back when that whole canvas bag thing was happening with 76, if I remember correctly. But just to get the game for the console, very cheap. But what do I give a value? Now, normally I don't like tell a value for each version, because generally, you know, there's not usually a huge difference outside of the performance, like frames and smoothness, not necessarily bazillions of bugs. Like, they'll, like, seriously, go to the wiki page and look up the bug page for fucking New Vegas. There are tons of things that are literally exclusive to each different version. It is a joke. I don't think I've seen such a game that is so radically different from each version of itself. But honestly, value-wise, I did enjoy the overall story, and I am using the value for the Ultimate Edition, even though I'm going to talk about the full DLCs in a separate video. I'm referring to the Ultimate Edition, but I guess I could also give the base game. The base game, if I was to give the base game a value, I have to be honest, and this is probably going to upset a lot of people. I try to be fair, consider the time period and stuff, but here's the honest truth. My value system that I use, I don't use a point system, I use a value system, is to express how much I think a game is worth based on how much fun, how well it is, how good the physical or DMO-free versions of it are. Like, it importantly, with the physical version, how competent that physical version is without patches and things and that. Like, there's multiple different layers of things that I try to keep in mind when giving a value to something. And on one side, the Ultimate Edition obviously is a more updated version than the original version, so it does have bug fixes and stuff on it in that sense. But it is still a very buggy and very messed up game. And I know there's gonna be, if I was to give the base game a value, I would probably go, I know this is probably gonna get a lot of pitchforks, but I think I would go with, I'm just waiting for people stabbing me, don't mind me. I think I would just go with $10. I know, please, don't scream blasphemy. Look, the game, I love the story, believe me, I love the story and the characters, but the game is so ridiculously broken. Here, I'll make it even more justifiable. I'm referring to my experience on the PS3 version of the base game of Fallout New Vegas. The base game alone as a $10 value. Because you can get tons of time. It is playable. There was lots of steps to keep playing, but it is still playable. But it is a mess. even after patches and shit, it's still a terrible mess. And it's a real shame that they have redone fucking Skyrim so many fucking times when this game deserves so much better. Because this, I really mean it. The story, the characters, and everything is really good. I like a lot of the interactions, some of the side plots. I like a lot of the factions. The kings were fucking awesome. In Freeside, I love the kings. But it's just, I can't justify how this game was released, the condition, the poor state of how it was. Like, this was a $60 game? Like, you can make it 500 hours worth of content, and I cannot justify that. I just can't. I can't. And I know other people probably can. Everyone will have a different opinion on it, but I just can't. With all the DLCs, which the DLCs were very interesting, to be honest. So, for the Ultimate Edition, I'm going to give it 15. All the DLCs were pretty interesting in their different ways. Some I liked more than the others. There's 4 different ones, so obviously something is on top and something's on bottom. But in general, I liked them, and I have different reasons on which ones are interesting for what reasons and such. But in general, there's something really interesting about each one, really. But I still, they still carry more of the same problems. The same problems still keep going, and the fact that obviously it's 4 more DLCs, which is just more memory and larger save files to get made, and it's just such a poor state on console. It's such a joke. Such a joke. But get the Ultimate Edition if you go with the physical console version. PC might be better. I mean, those bugs and shit still in the base, not the base, but just the plain game without any add-ons and mods and shit. I can't really speak for the PC version. I'm sure everyone, the mother, will tell people to get the PC version. I'm telling you to probably check out the PC version too. Like I said, unless you can't play on PC, or you want those trophies and achievements, I don't think you should get the console version. I really don't think you should. But I do think you should experience this game, and I recommend the GOG version that's $19.99 DRM free, which is definitely awesome. Because with Microsoft owning Bethesda, who knows if we'll ever fucking see anything else of those on fucking GOG again. Who the fuck knows? Or if that stuff will even stay on GOG. Hard to say. But it's such a mixed bag. It's a real shame. I really did enjoy the game's story, but its clunkiness, horrible frames, and just its performance is so bad. It makes me honestly want to cry, and like Fallout 76 that made me want to fucking throw in a damn file. Oh, Lord. But those are my quick thoughts over Fallout New Vegas. I have done 4 retakes of this. Most of them ended up being really long, and I wanted to try and not go too long into it. So, let's go into spoilers real quick, and we'll just get this over with. So, if you're curious about what the end is for the base game, again, we're going to make the DLCs their own video. The Courier learns that his or her package was basically this chip thing for Mr. House, who runs New Vegas, to upgrade his Securitrons. And at this point in the story, you have many different choices. You can go with Mr. House. You can go with the NCR, which is basically the remnants of a military for the country. You can freelance and take over New Vegas for your own. You can do a number of different things that lead New Vegas into a number of different paths and that, and it literally lets you do good, evil. Of course, you can also join what's essentially the evil team and fucking decide to destroy everything too. That's also an option. So you got a lot of different choices you can take the story in. I went with the basically the how should I say, I took over New Vegas in the ideal of making it a better place for people to be able to be safe at. Was essentially my justification on taking over New Vegas. So I took out Mr. House and went with the plan of anyone who willingly sided with me that wasn't absolutely horrible, I welcomed, and if you were absolutely horrible and didn't want to do peace, then you got out. And that's what I went with generally. I enjoyed the story. I liked the characters' interactions. I did watch some of the other endings in that, and I feel like there's a nice flow of different paths, replayability in that. And it just makes me sad because the game, not the story, but the game is in such a poor condition. Even to this point, way before Fallout 76 ever even existed, this engine was on fucking life support and desperately needed fucking fixing. I know over time this, where they called it the creation engine, they've changed and added to, but essentially they have used the same engine, they've modified it and upgraded it, patched it, but it's just been a humbling husk of a monster the longer they dragged it out. And 76 was just the final stone that people put their foot down and said it was just too much at that point. It was the final point. And that's where we are now. But to me, going backwards, it feels like it was still a fucking issue, even at this point of New Vegas, which is a shame. A real shame. Because it is a real game. Really good story game. Story-wise and character choices. Now, admittedly, I do understand there's a lot of those situations, like the devs were fucking given a short amount of time, they weren't given a lot of time. There was a lot of other problems that led to many problems with the game as well. But those are dev problems. I don't know the full story on all that. It's not like I got a dev here to talk to about the full story on all that, but I do know that they weren't given a lot of time to make this game and stuff, and I understand that. But I do think that commends how much of a better story they were able to do in a short amount of time than Bethesda was with 4 and 76. Such a damn shame. But anyway, if you feel like you learned anything interesting, feel free to leave a like. And if you feel like you learned nothing interesting at all, feel free to leave a dislike. Until next time, we're going to talk about the 4 DLCs next time. And I hope this helped somebody get a little idea of at least the console versions of this. Because it has been a while since these came out. It is such a tricky thing.
Beg your pardon.
Oh,
Could I trouble you to turn over your weapons?
Till next time.